We are the hosts of Passing the Bar podcast.
When we're looking for the best Cajun seafood bowl on Hampton Roads,
we know it's Boyle Bay. Don't forget about the incredible po' boys.
And the best boil sauce in the area.
Boyle Bay has happy hour Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 6. Live music every Friday and Saturday night.
And karaoke every other Thursday night.
And don't forget about Ladies' Night on Wednesdays.
Come to Boyle Bay Cajun Seafood and Bar on Holland Road in Virginia Beach.
Boyle Bay, we've got happiness in the bag.
Boyle Bay is a sponsor of Passing the Bar podcast.
Thanks to our sponsor, Stratus Media Group.
Yeah, I think everyone sounds good.
Cool. Guys, welcome back to Passing the Bar podcast, where we're a group of bartenders talking about the ups and the downs of the industry and all the social issues that we deal with. My name is Chris Pryor, and today I'm joined by Evan.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And Steve.
How's it going?
And our special guests today, we've got O'Connor Brewing's owner, Kevin O'Connor.
How you doing?
And the sales manager, Liz Poplawsky.
Hello.
For most of you that don't know, O'Connor is one of the kind of staples when it comes to breweries here in the Hampton Roads area. You know, from their iconic El Guapo, right to I think I feel like the first two beers that you guys came out with was like the Green Can and the Red Nun.
Yeah, Green Can, Red Nun, Norfolk Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Norfolk Canyon.
We sold a lot of that at Yard House when we first opened.
Which one?
Tons of Norfolk Canyon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then the black
IPA.
Black IPA. Yeah.
Great Dismal.
Great Dismal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. So, Kevin.
I feel like you should be sitting next to him for that.
He gets a little handsy. You might not want to. Liz, you're in the hot seat.
They put baby in a corner always.
Careful.
But you know, how long have you guys been around?
We're coming on our 10th year anniversary coming up in March, St. Patrick's Day.
Oh wow,
I love it.
So 2020 is 10 years for us, which is huge.
It's enormous, yeah.
And this is the location that you have off of, is it 26th Street in Norfolk, correct?
24th Street.
24th Street. Don't mess up and go to 26th then.
You'll be caught on a one-way street.
Probably more ways than one. So this is the second location that you guys have had. I've been to your brewery before. I think I was there for the release of the Proper Lager.
Okay.
Nice.
Which was
February of this year.
Yeah. That was like, was it? Oh wait, what day was that?
It was a Tuesday. It
was
was
a
snowing outside.
It was a balmy
You were wearing blue
30 degrees.
It's definitely blue.
But the brewery is just absolutely awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Thank you.
you've used a lot of the space that I've seen be used for not only events, not only through you guys, but also like other things you do. There's like a slider competition that happens there with like Nomarama and Jarrell and those guys, and you know, the different holidays that you do. You've got a huge stage that's there too, and the tasting room that you have there also. So shout out to O'Connor's. If you're looking for a brewery to go to,
Yeah.
they're definitely one of the coolest ones in town. You know what I mean? I feel like the space that you guys have, you utilize it very well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
A lot of events. How many events do you guys do a year, do you think?
Oh my God.
I follow you guys, so I always get like the...
Honestly, I get people
Boom,
that come
boom,
up to
boom,
me all the
event.
time and they're like, "Oh, I'm coming to your event this weekend. So-and-so band's playing." And I'm like, "Cool, who is it?"
We've got 5 this week.
What's going on this weekend? I'm like, honestly, the best thing is to follow the Facebook page because that's how I stay in
Right.
tune for what we're doing.
That's awesome.
That's what Monday managers meetings are for.
Oh, yeah.
They let me know what's going on.
That's perfect.
Yes. But I mean, honestly, we probably have something going on every weekend.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Every weekend. But we've also do like, you know, I think Kevin and Penny, when they started the company, wanted to be, you know, community outreach and really help out everybody in the community. So we're constantly doing stuff that betters the Norfolk community and Hampton Roads community in general too.
You're
So
right. Yep. I mean, that's you know, I always say it, if you're going to go into business for yourself, you want to be able to give back as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, it is a business at the end of the day, but you got to give some portion back, whether it's money, whether it's time, or just a space that you can get people to come in and have a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
So we touched base. You have a fantastic facility. Like, it is incredible. But I really want to talk about your humble beginnings. Just because, like, I was kind of doing a little research, and I was like, okay, so you wrote a college paper 20 years ago about opening up your own brewery.
The PR version or the young
Yeah.
PR?
the podcast version or the
the real ones.
the
good ones.
Let's get raw.
I guess my attorneys aren't sitting here. It's it's every brewer story almost, right? You started drinking in college, right? And you fell in love with craft beer, and then it starts at home brewing, then goes on. Mine started a little bit earlier. My dad always said I had a high expensive taste in alcohol. If you can't tell by the last name, I'm of Irish descent. So it was one of those things where it was never really, I want to say it's definitely frowned upon, right? You don't want to have underage drink. I got kids now, so I don't think they're listening to the podcast right now. But
10 years. No.
But we were allowed to have beers at dinner and stuff like that. We were allowed to, partake. It was just kind of be safe and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my freshman year in college. I had already had a fake ID before everybody. It was a good one too. I could go to the liquor store. I had backup credit. I had backup credit cards and everything. And,
second form of
yeah,
identification? Here you go.
I got 3, 4, 5. What do you want?
So this wasn't the ID that says you're 6'9" and 400 pounds.
Well, that's another story. I actually told this story over Thanksgiving because my niece, she's at William & Mary now. She was asking me, she's like, my parents don't want me to get a fake ID. And I said, well, everybody has a fake ID, right? And I was telling her the story, and it was at this corner market. I went to Radford for a couple years. And when I say a couple years, it was a couple years, but probably about this much education. I'm holding my hand up right now.
It's about an inch and a half there.
Yeah. A couple hours worth. And, but I was at this corner store in Radford. And I'm ADD, by the way, so I'll go all over the place. But we sat there, or I go up to the counter, and I remember the counter being really high. And I'm not the tallest guy in the room here by no means. And I remember putting the beer up, and the girl's looking down at me, and she quizzes me. And it was my brother's ID, but I didn't know his social before the driver's license numbers. They had social on there, so I knew his social inside and out. I knew his birthday inside and out. I knew what sign he was. I knew everything about him.
You knew what questions were coming.
I knew. So she quizzes me. So, you're from Norfolk? I said, yeah. Are you from Norfolk? She's like, yeah. I went to. She said, where'd you go to school? I went to Maury. She goes, where'd you go to school? She's like, I went to Grammy. I said, go Comets. She goes, go Commodores. So are we done here?
Yeah.
So
Did I pass the test?
Am I good?
So blood sample?
So I go ahead and pay, and then as I'm walking off, she goes, by the way, you're not 6'2".
There you go. Yeah.
I looked at her like, yeah, you got it.
Oh, shit.
That's respect. She's like, man, he nailed it on everything else.
Gotta give it to him.
I gotta give it to him.
Give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, one of those places.
So over in Blacksburg, there was this store over there called the Vintage Cellar, and it's still around. I was actually there. I went to the ODU Virginia Tech football game when the hurricane was down here, and popped by it. Still there. They sell our beer there. I feel good about that.
Hey,
because that's really where it started. There was a guy. The manager at the time was a guy named Kenny Lefkowitz, and freshman year I was driving over there, and I was picking up this beer. It was always craft. It was Dogfish. It was Stone. It was Rogue. Mm-hmm. I was picking up Belgian beers. And every time I'd go in there, I'd just pick up something different. Or I'd ask, hey, what's new? What's different? And finally, within a few weeks in the first semester, he kind of sits back and goes, at this point, I think now we kind of know each other's real names, I think he realized
You're
that.
not Sean O'Connor.
Actually, my brother Brent. And he was like, yeah, Brent. I'm just standing there, Brent. Oh, me? Yeah. That's right. I'm Brent. So I think when we got to the point of just being comfortable around each other, he's the one who actually said, you come in here all the time. It's usually professors come and get wine or craft beer or whatever, but it's not many times it's the college kids coming in. And I said, well, he's like, you're so into this, have you ever thought about making your own beer? And I literally was like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Right, that's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy. The idea is crazy. Right.
So
you just make beers?
Yeah. So he sold me a homebrew kit, like your 5-gallon buckets, extract and stuff like that. And I went back and I cooked my first batch on a hot plate in my dorm room.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I still remember when the RA came knocking on the door. He brought security.
I was like, you were the most popular guy on that floor.
But it was hilarious because for me and the RA, I forgot his name. So if he's out there, if I was a dick, I'm sorry. But it really was one of those things. Like you would think, even the security people at Radford knew me by first name too. So they were just like, "What's going on?" You would think I was cooking meth. What
are you doing now, man?
So, long story short, that was it. It was horrible beer, but then I ended up moving everything off campus to a friend's apartment and just kept brewing.
That's cool.
From a sales perspective, we're like, oh, he wrote his college thesis paper on it, and this is where that's the PR version.
Well, when you fast forward, I was in school for like 8 years, so you can call me doctor if you want. But at ODU, yes, my last paper was I had 2 business plans, one for a brew pub and one for a
production facility.
Yeah.
Wow.
Production, like a...
What we do now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I figured the production one would be more like a 9 to 5. I know you guys in the restaurant business.
Yeah, exactly. You're very smart.
Yeah. 4 o'clock in the morning, wondering who's stealing my prime rib.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Why are the food costs so high? Well,
plus the reach is so much more. You can just send it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because nowadays, again, when we first started, I think we were like number 11 in Virginia, and there's over 300 now breweries.
Yeah.
But it all really the I guess the tipping point was Senate Bill 604.
Yep.
And that was the tasting. We call it the tasting room.
Oh, the law.
Yeah.
So
when that law
Yep.
passed, I still remember the day Governor McDonald was signing it into law, and we're at Hardywood. And we're all sitting there, and I'm just nudging people's elbows. I'm like, did anybody even read this?
Yeah.
None of us are lawyers. Except for Porter.
Except for Porter. Porter, read this.
But even Porter wasn't even open then. But it's like, even joke with Porter now. It's like, did anybody kind of even just peruse this?
Right,
And what is this going to do? Is this going to open up Pandora's box? It opened up Pandora's box.
Well, that was kind of where
the
idea where we came in. It was like, okay, you don't have to have the concern about if you're going to open a bar, you have to sell a lot of food, and you have to build the kitchen, then you got to build the other side too.
Yeah, we want no part of that. It's way easier. Just brew the beer.
Exactly. And have parties.
And then, so seeing that in other states when I was traveling, it's like, this is dope. This is amazing. And then that law was passed in Virginia, and then it was just like that. It was just like pop. Like all these breweries started popping up everywhere.
Before that bill too, you could not drink in the tasting room.
Right.
You could just come and buy your beer to go.
And they had to leave.
Right.
I never knew that.
Right. That's what
tasting room was the ringer.
That's why all of a sudden
you
these brewers
you had to
these
give
breweries
people free samples. So
Right.
if you came up, hey, I want to buy your beer. I want to talk to you. Sorry, you can't. Here's a free sample. Look around, buy whatever you want, and then go on your merry way.
Right. You couldn't hang out in a tasting room. Which is, if you think about it, this was 6 years ago?
Something like that.
Which is around the time the boom of craft beer happened in Virginia. So.
I remember it was probably about a year or two before that. I was I'd already opened the brewery, and we were down in Raleigh visiting some friends, and we went to and again, in my travels, I always look for breweries to go check out and stuff like that. We were, my wife and my buddy and his wife, the wives stayed home, and I was like, hey, let's go. And this is just how it was, 5-6 years ago, even in Virginia. My buddy who loves craft beer, but he sat there, he was like, hey, I want to go check out this brewery. They're doing this beer release. I want to go check it out. And he was like, I didn't even know they were around here,
Yeah,
and I was
like,
like,
a new one.
So we went there, and there was like 300 people there, and we stood in line and drank beers. But we went back, I think it was the next day or the day before we went, and then we went back. And remember going up to their bar, their tasting room, and we're sitting there, and I asked the guy, hey, can I try this? I never had this before. And I'm so oblivious sometimes, but he was like, yeah, sure. You want to try it, or do you want a pint? And I was like, no, I just want to try it. I've never had it. Can I try this now? Well, do you want to try it, or do you want to have a pint? This went on literally like 5 times. Well, and then no, it didn't even still at that moment. It didn't even click. Wow. But it got to the point where the guy's looking at me like, you do know what a pint of beer is,
right? Yeah.
And but
because you pretty much had it
with
all your
tasting.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm like looking down at the end of the bar, and there's a guy sitting there drinking a pint, staring at like a UNC basketball game. And then I look over, there's another person over there, and next thing you know, I looked around. I said, "Do you guys have a kitchen?" They're like, "No, why?" And I was like,
"How are you open?"
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What are you
getting away with
this?
this?
We're all from here. We're all from Virginia. We're so